Yeah, teachers and masters and having their devotees and students move with them, I think is a great way to do it. And I think when I was a high school teacher, I thought that if I could get these kids, many of them were sedentary kids, sometimes they were inner city kids, if I could get them out in nature and have them treat me with respect. So the thing I like about yoga centers and martial arts centers is when you walk in there, you could be a VIP, you could be an arrogant person, you could be whatever. When you walk in there, you turn over your mind, body, and spirit and your attention to that yoga teacher, to that master. It's a kind of an understood thing. And I wish we had that in school, because most teachers I know worked really hard and deserved to have people be attentive and respectful of their time and not, run away and cause trouble and then get the teacher fired, these types of things. And I think that would be so wonderful if we could have more of a moving classroom where unfortunately in a lot of the high schools, we have 33, 35 students, but we have a little bit of a hierarchy of some of the kids who can maintain and help maintain that group of 30 plus kids. But then we could do a little bit more roaming and everybody would be safe and as attentive as they could be. They don't have to be attentive 100% of the time, but at the crucial times and the safety times, and not, messing around with the other kids, messing the other kids up in that environment. I think that would be a great way we could learn. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that it'd be wonderful to have those kinds of classrooms. I'll tell you, just to, all of our work and in the schools is all about that, is introducing activity, movement throughout the day, if possible. And that's what you're talking about, although you're talking about the actual classroom moving, which would be great to be doing that. The evidence is pretty clear that when we move, we are more creative. It may not be the best, moving might not be the best to really lock in new information, memory, while you're moving may not be the best. It may be right after you're moving that your brain is more ready. But while you're moving, a study out of Stanford some years ago now showed that when you're moving, you are more creative than even after you're moving, and certainly before you're moving. They did 3 different situations, and they were surprised. They thought it was going to be after you were done moving that you were going to be the most creative. Well, you were much more creative than when you came in and you were sedentary. That afterwards, your brain was more supple. But while you were moving was the most supple, if you will, the most able to switch sets, which is a huge part of being creative.
Yeah, I guess, John, what I should preface that with, it would be more like a classroom where you have different blocks where you could move, and the teacher, the master person teaching, is walking with the student, so there's some activity of movement, and then you get to this new area where there's a little bit of a spark, like your book is titled, and then you get to this area and you sit or you stand in that area. And then after a certain amount of time, what I learned from being in the high school situation is that after about 20 minutes of a lecture, and it might even be 10 now, I was doing this 10 years ago, that the mind turns off. And for people I know who are tour guides and do those things that used to be called elder hostels, now it's called Rhodes Scholar trips for people that have enough money to go on a trip and go on a wine tour or go to Oxford and learn about some portion of English history. And so even seniors and adults, that's that same statistic. There's the attention span for the sermon at church or something that you're trying to learn is not very long. You might have the numbers and more currently than I do for modern humanites.
Well, yes, I'm not sure what the number is, but that's why you need to spice it up with movement. And one one teacher, fifth grade teacher up in Wyoming, was voted teacher of the year. And what he did in his class, and fifth grade is sort of the nexus for trouble, entering or almost entering adolescence. Big movement, or a big problem with keeping your attention focused. But he would have 15 minutes of seat time, and then a minute or two of dance or exercise in each of his classes. So they would get the movement there, and the kids loved it. They wanted to come to school. They wanted to go to his class. They thought it was not just fun and odd. It was odd, but it really led him to his students to do very, very well. And he was, there were a TV program about him and all, the usual, oh my God, look what's happening here. And it really works. Of course, no one else did it. And I'm sure that hasn't continued because he's probably moved on to some other situation. But those are the kinds of things that have been done. Yeah.